Hello, Galaxy. I'm Chris Pirillo. In the live stream last night, someone asked if I thought that Lucasfilm should have used Mara Jade instead of Rey, specifically in the sequel trilogy. And there's a lot to unpack there. I understand that I'm probably going to upset a great many people, but I may get a few people to agree with me along the way, so stick with me on this path. I am going to give you the short answer. Yes, I believe that Lucasfilm was right to go with Rey over Mara Jade. Why? Because it was a new character. And I understand the argument can be made, yeah, but it's a new character. We all loved Mara Jade. We knew Mara Jade. We wanted to see Mara Jade. Who's we? What do you mean they blew up the Death Star? What's an aluminum falcon? Who's they? So, it's you, someone who was invested, lightly or heavily, in EU, the expanded universe, or Legends, as it's now known. This is very contentious. I didn't realize it would be as contentious, but every time I bring up Legends versus canon, people get upset. I believe that the best way for Lucasfilm to have creative freedom with the sequel trilogy, and I'm not sitting here and making the argument that it couldn't have been done better, because you know what? It was done. And what it is. And enjoy it for what it is. Don't get mad for what it isn't. So, would they have been wise to go into the sequel trilogy with a character that was known in Legends and was a main character, at least main enough that many people knew who Mara Jade was? I didn't read a lot of those books. I didn't read a lot of the comics. I didn't play a lot of those games. I just didn't get exposed to them all that frequently. I knew that Star Wars books and Star Wars content was being produced, but like a bulk of people who are out there today, and back then, the only Star Wars to me was the Star Wars that I saw in film. A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. Everything else was Star Wars-ish. Even in reading the books that I did read, and I didn't read many, I enjoyed them, but differently. Like, I felt a connection with the characters that I knew and wanted to appreciate the characters that I didn't know within the Star Wars universe, but there was just something missing for me. And by the way, it's still true today. And I'll be getting to that in another video, talking about the High Republic and how I feel I may be missing out on some aspects of it that I enjoy. The aspects of Star Wars fandom. Not to take away from what the High Republic is. Not to take away from what Legends is. No one's changing those stories. They are what they are. But for Disney to have the freedom, could you imagine them having the same kind of freedom with a character that you had already constructed in your mind? You knew what she looked like. You knew what she acted like. You knew what she was. You knew what she did. You knew what she ate for breakfast. And if they deviated from any of that, despite them having creative control, oh man, you want to talk about an uproar. Oh, there would have been, like, so much anger tossed at Disney. More than they get today. More. Because they would have taken something that was with baggage. Mara Jade has baggage. Rey was someone no one knew anything about at all. And you know what? I don't mind. Would I have minded if Lucasfilm used Mara Jade instead of Rey? No, I wouldn't have. I knew of Mara Jade like many knew of Mara Jade. But I tell you, there are probably, and I don't have any kind of data to back this up, but I'm guessing that most people who have seen the Star Wars films have no idea who Mara Jade is. At all. It would be like an inside joke, or needing to know backstory for a character in order to understand and appreciate the moment. That's sometimes what is missing from a lot of superhero films. Like, because there are people who are, so steeped in lore and legends, to use that word in a different context in this case, that they know that character versus someone who's only just watching a movie. And many people who watch Star Wars movies don't even realize that Rogue One wasn't Rey. Jyn was not Rey. Like, and Rey was not Jyn. And even though these movies were interspersed, they were two completely different timelines in the same galaxy. This is one challenge that Disney has really yet to overcome. And I hope they will, and I'm pretty sure they will with their plans. But if they would have taken a character that has that strong of a presence and name recognition and thrust her into the limelight, him or her, into a central role in a film. It could have been good. It could have been fantastic. I'm not going to say it would have been better. You can't prove a negative. Don't even try. I don't want to hear it. The other things I don't want to hear are the arguments that I've had. I'm not going to say arguments. That's a bit extreme. Discussions, shall we say. I was at a party not long after the release of The Force Awakens, like weeks after, discussing with a local collector, the merits of the film and what did you think about The Force Awakens, and what did you think about this, and what did you think about that? And he was going off on all sorts of tangents that were Star Warsy, but he was saying things that just they didn't add up. Like I couldn't make sense what he was saying. Like I mean, I understand Galactic Basic as much as the next geek, but it was still Star Wars-ish, and I had to stop him at one point because he said something that a character did, something that I know the character didn't necessarily do in canon. And I said, wait, are you talking from a position of Legends? And he said, well, yes. This is the problem with Legends and canon, and this is why I feel strongly Disney made the right decision, because there was so much material produced before Disney got a hold of the IP, and that's just the way it is. Whether you like it or not, it is what it is. And there were many fantastic stories and many fantastic characters and many fantastic ships and everything. And some of those have been pulled into canon. Grand Admiral Thrawn being a prime example in Rebels. But Thrawn became the main villain, not necessarily a central character in Rebels, but evolved to be one of the main characters. I kind of wish Thrawn would have been introduced at the beginning of the series rather than at the end, or towards the end. I shouldn't say the very end. Still, it was a character that I knew about, like on the fringes of Star Wars-ness growing up, beyond the films, but it was still a character I can enjoy seeing in Rebels, on screen. It didn't necessarily have that baggage, though, for me. I was able to understand the character pretty quickly. Cunning, ruthless, and imperial to his core. And I didn't know his backstory. And I fear that if I knew about Thrawn's backstory, non-canon backstory, I'm not talking about the Thrawn comic arc, the very brief run of that. I'm talking about his story from Legends. If I knew his backstory, I feel Rebels would have been disappointing for me. Because I feel, me personally, that I would have seen him through all the other material that I'd read before. So I understand that it's next to impossible for a lot of people to shelve that part of their brain, the Legends or EU, and just move forward with canon. But it is what it is. And no one's going to go back and change EU or Legends. No one's taking those stories away. No one's even saying they're bad. Because they're not. Obviously, they are not. You care about them deeply. But most people who are going to enjoy Star Wars today and moving forward, and we're talking about beyond the books, beyond the table games, beyond the comics, they need something that is solid footing underneath, and that is why canon needed to happen, because Disney needed more control over the storytelling, and they did the right thing, and they're doing the right thing by pulling from Legends when they see fit. I've got no problem with the way it's playing out. I'm sure we disagree. I ain't trying to step on anybody's toes. I'm not saying you're not a Star Wars fan any more than somebody else. I'm just saying you're a fan of Legends and EU. I'm not. It's Star Wars-ish, but it's not canon, which is ostensibly Star Wars. Now that I've talked about this controversial topic, what do you think? Should Disney have done Mara Jade over Rey? Let's disagree, because I'm sure we will. And even if we don't, may the Force be with you. Always.